Hello and welcome to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Hartitz. Best Ball Wednesday coming at you. We are live over at Underdog trying to win $2 million with the Mania. Why not? Great day to be great. Joining me, as always, none other, PFF's finest, Dwain "The Rock" McFarland. Dwain, how are you? This is our first post-draft best ball draft. How about that?
Yeah, man. Obviously excited. It's football. It's drafting. It's post-NFL draft. Like all of those things are like keywords in my life that are all good. All of them have football of them in them. I think they do, right? I think they all have something to do with football anyway.
I'm feeling energized. Already got the dogs out for a nice long walk today. Was throwing the tennis ball with PFF Lily. Getting humid here in Cincinnati, Ohio. But, it's all good, Dwayne. I will take the sun. If you need to, sit down with a nice cool glass of lemonade, maybe crack open a beer 5 hours earlier than usual. A lot of things you can do to take that edge off. So now with that important anecdote about my life out of the way, let's get into this draft. Going number 1, Cooper Kupp over Jonathan Taylor. Dwayne, is Taylor the only one you're taking over those top 3 wide receivers? Because it seems to kind of be the general sentiment in these drafts so far. I've been seeing McCaffrey fall to even pick 5, pick 6. Yeah,
pretty much. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor at 1 just because he's so hard to get, but I'm totally fine with if you want to go with Cooper Kupp. I'm fine if you want to go with Justin Jefferson. If you're drafting a bunch of times, right, Jefferson often goes in the middle, so it's like you want to kind of leave yourself some room to get him at a better value. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor is still my 1-1, but I would not argue with anyone that wanted to go Kupp or wanted to go with Justin Jefferson.
Finally, now in the post.
Awesome. Justin Jefferson 3.
In this post-draft era, we can rely a little bit more on the underdog ADP. Just kind of had a bunch of different factors, namely free agency and stuff going on before that was making it a little tough to rely on with that much confidence. But looking at the wide receivers, Dwayne, Jamar Chase, wide receiver 3, Diggs, wide receiver 4. He's risen up a little bit since the beginning process. But Adams 5 and CD Lamb number 6. Sitting here at 110. Maybe CD's the one that ends up falling to us. Our wide receiver 5, I say my wide receiver 5, your wide receiver 4, a mini value at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what I would love to get at this, I would love to turn Stephon Diggs and CD Lamb, and that's the order you have to go. I have Lamb ahead of Diggs by 1 spot. You have Diggs ahead of Lamb by 1 spot. So he just went.
Diggs is off the board. Still have running backs like Eckler, Najee, Mixon. Dalvin Cook off the board at 108. It's just a little early with Dalvin. I know. I read it. He's getting snaps at wide receiver in training camp. That's cool. Guys, there's a lot of issues here. That shoulder injury Dalvin has is probably a worse injury concern than any other injury that you're actually worrying about with these running backs, if you should be at all. But Dwayne, we're on the clock. Najee is off the board. What are we thinking here?
Is Austin Eckler there?
Austin Eckler is here. We have to.
At 6'7", you take Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler, welcome to the squad. At 110, what is he going as? RB6?
Yeah, let's get it.
And this economy?
He's normally pick 6, period.
We'll get Eckler. We'll do a little modified 0 RB here. I just call that.
That's how we're starting anyway. Like you should give it a new name. Like right now, like it needs another name. We've got Anchor, we've got Modified, we've got Hero. What do you call it, Ian?
My whole life is either 0 RB or modified 0 RB. If I go to the grocery store and Julia's like, "Did you get the eggs?" I'm like, "Nah, they were out." Modified 0 RB. Unfortunately, didn't work out on this trip.
Really, Lamb right in front of us.
Unreal. Well, still have some good talent here. Dwayne, Kelsey, Deebo Samuel, Mark Andrews. Someone you said that you were coming more around to at this spot.
Yeah, Kelsey this is hard. It's he's 12-7, so I like taking the value on Kelsey.
Kelsey's gone
here. Kelsey just went. Okay, my bad. Then yeah, I am coming around on Andrews. I think that he and Kelsey are clearly the top 2 tight ends now, with having Hollywood Brown gone.
Andrews over Deebo or Tyreek?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. It is true. I mean, without Marquise, because that was not the problem with Andrews. I know he was the overall tight end 1, but Marquise Brown had like 145 targets last year. I'm sure a good chunk of those will go to Rashad Bateman, as I'm sure a bunch of Sammy Watkins leftover targets will go to Rashad Bateman. But make no mistake about it, like Andrews is the safest thing in this offense. And, even if Bateman's going to be as good as a lot of people think he's going to be, I mean, what's Andrew's floor? We're like, we talked about this with Josh Allen, Dwayne. Like, what even would have to happen for Allen to be anything other than this elite fantasy asset? Like, what would have to happen with Andrews? Because we've seen him thrive in the run first, even more run first version of the Ravens offense. And just without having the extra bodies there, man, he looked so good last year, like talent wise. Like, maybe at the beginning of the year, I was a little skeptical if he really belonged at like that top tier talent wise, the real life tight end. He's there, man.
Yeah, man. He had the only thing that was ever missing, for Mark Andrews was just enough routes. And then that came. Like everything's has always been there. Yards per route run, targets per route run. Like those have always been elite. And that's the beauty of some of those like underlying stats, because when you have a player that's in a little bit of a lesser role, you can actually do a little bit more projecting with them. So yeah, I'm all in on Andrews at this point. Feel like he's going to definitely lead the team in targets. Has huge touchdown ceiling, and he also has big play ceiling, for a tight end, which is hard to get on tight ends. So yeah, I feel great about it.
Dwayne, we have Eckler and Mark Andrews after 2 rounds. Moving forward, we're going to start to get into the messy wide receiver territory. But if we can find one of these, Leonard Fournette, Saquon Barkley, James Conner, do you want to pull the trigger already round 3, or is there maybe a wide receiver if they fall to us? Other than, if A.J. Brown or T. Higgins are there, I think that's, an auto pull.
Higgins just went, so.
Okay, he's gone. I'd even say Keenan Allen potentially over some of those running backs. But what are you thinking we do here at 3-4? It seems like we might go running back, wide receiver in some order.
Yeah. Keenan Allen just went off the board as well, and Keenan's fine. I'm a little lower than consensus on Keenan Allen, but I'm not low on him, right? He's getting up there. All of his underlying metrics are starting to slide, so I don't like that. Fournette just went off the board. But if James Conner got back here, like with us already having Eckler, I don't feel like we have to. Honestly, I feel like with us already having Eckler and having, the receiver, having our tight end locked in, one of each, I feel pretty open, like we can do whatever it is that we want to do. But like if it all just works out perfectly, I do like James Conner or Saquon Barkley here. I do like Waddle or Pittman. I know you're not as big on Waddle. I don't know where you are on Pittman these days. Pittman just went, actually.
Pittman is now a top 12 receiver, like not inexplicably. It was one of the guys I think we were highlighting before the draft, Dwayne, as someone we were, at least me, was higher on than consensus. And at this point, it's like, okay, I guess we're just gonna go ride. We're all riding with him as a top 15.
He was pick 36 as of yesterday. He just went here at pick 25. So
yeah,
that's a definite.
I'm not against. I'm writing up my Washington team preview right now. Like right now, I think I have McLaurin one spot ahead of Pittman. I might bump him up there. I'm not going to be bumping him and AJ Brown. Like those could be your wide receiver 12 and 13 right there. Like I think Pittman is just outside of that tier.
Yeah, Javonte Williams just going in the 3rd. I love that price tag on Javonte. Normally right now you're having to spend a mid to late 2nd. So that was a Jamar Chase, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams start. I dig that for sure.
People are finally kind of admitting that Melvin Gordon's going to stay a little bit involved, but this is okay. This is why, we were saying don't draft Javonte before the draft when he was going as like a top 6 RB. But now we also have guys catching on to James Conner and taking him right after. All right, we're going to have to do some.
Josh Allen just went.
We have to prove our worth, Dwayne. All right, we got Saquon, Akers, Zeke, Montgomery, top running backs. At wide receiver, we got Waddle, DJ, Williams, Hollywood, Metcalf.
Yeah, I like Barkley if he makes it here. Let's see what happens with it. Did he just go?
As he goes, yeah.
Is that
okay?
One pick to us, right?
Yeah, we should probably go wide receiver here. Well, why do we go Waddle over DJ Moore? Waddle has more competition, and both of them have question marks at quarterback. DJ Moore's gone, so never mind. Yeah,
DJ Moore's gone, but I like Waddle. Dude, I don't mind turning 2 receivers here because we have a running back and a tight end. I don't mind turning Waddle and Mike Williams, Waddle and Marquise Brown. I think a little tad early for Chris Godwin, just knowing that he may start the season slow. But I like Waddle fine, and I like Mike Williams on the way back because Josh Allen did go. So
Jalen Waddle is on the squad. I'm okay with getting them at that price tag. Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, Metcalf, Amari Cooper, still very much available. I would love for Mike Williams to fall to us.
Yeah, and I put up my tier article yesterday, and man, I so toyed with flipping the tier that has Mike Williams in it above DK Metcalf. So that's why it's good to do these. Like I love Metcalf's talent, man, but like when it's Drew Lock and then the backup option is Geno Smith, like and we love to bet on talent, but man, it's just hard to imagine. And then you also have Pete Carroll, right, in the equation. So it's just that just makes it so tough. So Marquise and Amari went.
There we go. Mike Williams. Yep.
Boom. Do it.
Boom.
Rocket.
Yeah, I gotta do some take some long, hard looks at the old wide receiver ranks. It's messy.
We need to have some long, hard conversations about them. Like I mean, I think it's the trickiest spot this year for sure.
Yeah, we should do like an emergency wide receiver tier podcast. Most people do emergency pods like for a big transaction. We're gonna do an emergency pod. Just
can you flip back to the board?
Bamboozled with some of these wide receivers. Yeah, I got you.
I know that's real high quality audio for those listening to the podcast. We love you guys.
This one's a little bit. Yeah, this one
just helps let me keep up. But so after we picked, you had we took Mike Williams, then Lamar Jackson, Kyle Pitts.
It's more of a method. They call method acting what, like when you're like being that same person like all throughout the day. This is like a method pod, Dwayne. We're getting kooky out here. Yes, Kyle Pitts and Waller both going off the board in round 4. The idea.
That's the one thing of where you could pass Andrews had we really liked a receiver. Say you take Debo, you come back with Pitts, and then Williams. I mean, it's kind of tomato. I'm fine with either way.
I guess we're coming around a little more on the idea of getting one of these tight ends because while we do have some holes to pick into the tight ends, like once we get done with the first, 11 wide receivers and then probably 10 to 11 running backs, that's when we want to take chances on them. So yeah, at the end of round 2, if we can't get Andrews, I mean, who did we take? We took Andrews before Mike Evans, Debo, Tyreek, Kamara, Swift, Higgins.
And I'm good
Allen.
with all of those because
I'm okay with that.
The positional advantage that you get, and things have changed for Andrews, right? Since we first put out our ranks, he's lost, like you said, Marquise Brown. So I think and it's not that we didn't think Andrews could do it anyway, but to your point earlier, that just pretty much locks him in. So
he's no longer in this like 3-player bamboozled situation. He's not in, he got rid of Marquise Brown. Darren Waller had to add, Davante Adams to it. Kittle has a quarterback change. Kelsey also lost Tyreek Hill. That's, again, I don't think targets were a problem for Andrews or Kelsey to begin with, but now we really don't have to worry about it.
Right. And in these drafts, one thing I'm noticing, especially when you play in these underdog drafts, like, dude, people pretty much just go by ADP. If you notice, I have ADP up right now, there are hardly any gaps. People are pretty much just going right down the board. So if you do have some guys that you have convictions around that you want to make a move on, there are ways to differentiate your roster. So many people get close to ADP. Now, because there are so many drafts, ADP is constantly being remolded. I think there was somebody actually, Ian, that I can't remember. I feel like last year someone tested out this whole idea of just truly letting everything auto draft and seeing how their season went. just letting it go to I think they did set some positional requirements and stuff that they had set up in the way they had their list set up, but it'd be interesting. It's kind of hard for people to screw these up, in my opinion. Like early on, they're just following ADP. Where people make the mistakes is in how they construct the roster, right? And in how they do the complete build.
And then we got people taking Juju Smith-Schuster at pick 5-2 saying F the world. What are we doing with Juju?
That's about where he goes, though.
Come on. He shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm lower. I'm way lower than the market on him. Like DK is who just slid. DK's normally pick 42. I don't know what pick that was that he just went at. You can probably see it. I can't read it. But Terry just slid a little bit. See, these receivers we've been talking about. Terry McLaurin,
Juju
DK Metcalf.
Over DK Metcalf? Are you freaking high? I mean, maybe, it's a free country. If HB Yanksman's a little high drafting on Underdog, that's okay. I'm not saying but come on, man, don't draft Juju. I don't care what substance you're on. Like, oh my goodness. Dude, he might be like the number 4 option in the Chiefs offense. We have no idea. The assumption that he's just going to walk in and be that number 1 wide receiver is absolutely insane. He could be the odd man out. Skye Moore, MVS, Mecole Hardman could feasibly be there over Juju.
Yeah, I don't think there's a player that I'm lower than the market on than Juju. Juju's the one that's the most.
All right, we are up in 3 picks. Massive wide receiver run. Metcalf, McLaurin, Allen Robinson, Gabriel Davis. We still got Michael Thomas.
And the
Bateman.
Quarterback that a guy double tapped quarterback. He went Herbert and Murray. Murray was what I was hoping for here.
Wow.
But I would star Jalen Hurts here.
Do we
as
think
a potential option? I'm just
Brees Hall.
If Brees Hall's here, he's auto pick.
Yeah. All right, we're going Brees Hall. Hell yeah. Why is Brees Hall falling like he is? He's the one running back that I wasn't getting much of before, but now I'm seeing him go kind of outside the top 20. Are we just giving Michael Carter?
This is how people react. Remember, we talked about this before the fantasy draft season, and I talked about how everyone else was saying, look, Brees Hall's going to move up once he's drafted. A lot of these guys, going back to Jonathan Taylor, going back to Javonte Williams last year, that surged way early in the process in their ADP. They didn't usually surge again unless they landed in a perfect backfield like last year with Najee Harris. And he moved from being a 3rd-round pick to being an early 2nd, sometimes a late 1st. There goes ETN.
Could be some final, fateful last words here, Dwayne, but we're about to be in round 6, and there's still a lot of good running backs available. I mean, ETN barely went at the end of round 5. We got Brees Hall 5'10", Dobbins 5'9". We just knocked out our Eagles pod. It's not going to be live until next week, but Miles Sanders is someone that we think is perfectly fine, or he's going Cordero Patterson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, we have running backs with some legit touch ceilings, and some of them are even in good offenses. Elijah Mitchell is going, into the 6th, 7th round now. A lot of opportunities here for people that want to load up on wide receivers early.
It's Underdog. This is how it goes on Underdog. This is just the way it goes, man.
We're on the clock. Do you want to go Jalen Hurts here?
What are the receivers available?
Michael Thomas, Cooks, London, Burks, Amon-Ra.
I like all those receivers. I actually wouldn't mind getting a receiver. What do the quarterbacks look like again? Just real quick.
It's Hurts.
I'm fine with Hurts, or either one of those receivers. We've got 2 receivers, we've got 2 running backs, and 1 tight end. So,
okay.
I love the ups. Hurts is the big play upside, right? He's the guy that he still has number 1 quarterback in his range of outcomes. Not like we're saying that he's a better shot to hit number 1 than, Josh Allen. So don't take us wrong, but it's in his range of outcomes. So for Josh Allen, like at his 50th percentile performance, he could be number 1 QB. It's like Jalen Hurts, it's like at his 70th or 80th percentile, outcome. Like he can have a shot at QB1. So there is a difference.
Would you be down on the next wraparound to try to go Devontae and Dallas Goedert, even though we already have Mark Andrews?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Why not stack the Eagles offense? I have no problem doing that in this sort of format.
Yeah. And we're just hoping that Hurts blows up. And if he blows up, I mean, Devontae and Goddard are going to be the beneficiaries there. That's too bad we couldn't get A.J. Brown early on. But when we have someone like a Goddard along with Mark Andrews, we could have weeks where one of them is a worthwhile flex option. I mean, I think they have enough upside in their range of outcomes.
Yep, I agree.
Amon-Ra, Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks going off shortly after us, Antonio Gibson all the way down in the 6th round. I'm about to write about him as soon as I'm done here, Dwayne. I guess the one, every time I'm going through these team previews and I try to have like one big question for each position group that I can hopefully figure out the answer to. And for Gibson, it's going to be just looking at the track record of these running backs that maybe have more than 200 carries, but we're not even getting close to that 50 reception mark, which is again looking like it's going to be the case due to J.D. McKissick there. And maybe even the 200 carry mark is now at risk with Brian Robinson's 3rd round selection. So I'll just be curious with Gibson, man, because right now we're not expecting a super high touchdown ceiling in this version of the Washington offense. And without that receiving work, Dwayne, like Gibson's best case scenario needs to have an injury.
Yeah, I moved him way down right after the draft. Like he's basically, where do I have him? I have him, I think, as a high-end RB3. The talent is still there, right? We think he can still be a good player. He's been injured. Like he still was just a college receiver, not even, over 2 years ago. So getting going, in his career, and we know that he can catch passes. So those things are all nice. But at the end of the day, everything you just mentioned, like he could be sharing the early down work and be completely outside of the passing down work looking in, right? He might. So think like if he has to split early down snaps, that means he's also off the field for passing down if they throw on those first 2 downs, right? And then we know McKissick's the guy coming out in 2-minute offense and all those sort of things. So, yeah, I'm with you. Here go the quarterbacks. So
Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson starting off round 7. AJ Dillon shortly after. We were doing another stream with Jared Evans and Nathan Yonke last night, and Jared decided to take Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I just couldn't help myself, Dwayne. I like to kind of give the guests or my fellow PFF employees the benefit of the doubt sometimes, but those are just absolutely atrocious picks. And then I log on to Twitter today, and it's like it was Ramondre Stevenson day, and people are talking about him again. Like, we've talked about the Patriots, Dwayne. Like, what are people chasing?
Drake
Everyone
just went, sorry.
Everyone wants it to be Damian Harris and then Ramondre Stevenson splitting early down work and getting the pass down work. Pierre Strong has better draft capital by 3 picks than Ramondre Stevenson. Like, James White got re-signed. They went out and got Ty Montgomery. Kevin freaking Harris, I think, has a chance to maybe play pass downs. Who the hell knows, man? No, we're not taking Ramondre Stevenson.
There goes Devonta Smith. Yeah, I just I don't see the point in it. I just don't see the path to the big upside, right? He just needs too many things to go right for the upside, to hit. To your point, there's just so many different things going on there. So who just went off the board?
Wide receivers still available. Adam Thielen looking nice here. Skye Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Running backs, we have Cordero Patterson, Kenneth Walker, Damian Harris, Tony Pollard, and Kareem Hunt. We are on the clock, Dwayne. I kind of like Thielen here, man.
I'm fine with it. He'll get us through some stuff in the early part of the season. If he ends up, I'm not huge on Thielen, declining in all areas, like for multiple years now. Like, he's going down, like the ship's going down. But there is a chance he gets to move inside and play the slot in O'Connell's offense. And if he does, we've seen receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Reggie Wayne, Hines Ward back in the day. We've seen them have a revival season getting to play out of the slot. So, yeah, I like the Thielen pick here. And, like, it gets us through early in the season. We have to start 3. We only had 2 coming into this pick. And so now we can come back, and I think we need to nail receiver again here and take one of the other guys you just talked about. I'm fine with it either. I'm fine with any of Skye Moore. I would also be fine. It would be
Olave. How about Olave?
Well, Olave has a chance to come back. Skye Moore, if you want him, you got to take him now. Oh, he just went. Okay.
Tyler Lockett's the only guy above ADP.
Then I am fine with Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. Either one of those 2, I am good with.
I'm going to go with Chris Olave only because there's a chance, based on some of this Michael Thomas news, that Michael Thomas could miss some time again. Who knows, man? We haven't seen him play football, and if he is still banged up, like some of these reports are coming through, like if we hear that pup's a possibility for Michael Thomas, all of a sudden Chris Olave is going to be shooting up. I mean, does Jarvis Landry change really your opinion of Olave's potential in this offense? Yeah,
Jarvis Landry. Exactly. I mean, they could change the way they run their offense. They run a lot of multiple, right? They like to run 2 tight ends. They like to use a fullback. There's a lot of different things that the Saints do. And I haven't done my projections on them, right? We haven't done NFC South yet. So, I mean, I could change my mind a little bit on that, but I don't think my worry with a guy like Landry is he might only be on the field for 60% of the routes, or he takes Michael Thomas's place as, what do people say? Slant boy. So like he could take,
I hate those people.
I know he could take that place, but yeah, it doesn't change my opinion of what Olave's still the guy that can just open up the field at all levels, and that's what we're looking for.
Trey Lance going shortly after Chris Olave. I was doing a little Trey Lance digging on the old Twitter sphere. I think people are freaking out a little bit. Isn't it pretty much common knowledge that teams are waiting to maybe trade for Jimmy G to see how he's recovering from the shoulder surgery? Right? So if we're not expecting a trade for a few months, then it's not that big of a deal. We have a conversation of Kyle Shanahan talking about, I believe it was their new QB coach or someone they added to it. And like when he got asked the question about it, he was just immediately going to like how him working with Trey is going to be like really good for his development with no mention of Jimmy. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't intentional. This was just something that happened in March. But even if Dwayne, like Jimmy G is still on the roster, like I still think, if the Girl Scouts rolling up and really making us ask, I still think Trey Lance is the week 1 starter. They didn't draft him freaking 3rd overall to keep going back to Jimmy G. We've seen the limitations, and Kyle must know that deep down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily love having to take him where he's going in drafts, but like if he hits, he's going to hit big. The problem is we just saw everybody go so all in last year. I mean, this is basically where Lance was going last year at the end of draft season. So to me,
he might keep falling though because of this perception that I feel like is ramping up, even though nothing. My point is, I don't think anything has really changed. Like, we've just gotten another day further into the calendar, but I feel like the news is impacting Lance more now than it did a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I guess the way I look at it is overall we're flat versus where he was being drafted last year. So I feel like overall, like I still consider the market, bullish.
After Lance, C-Pat finally went, had another quick wide receiver run. Tyler Lockett, Garrett Wilson, Christian Kirk, and Christian Watson. Tyler Lockett now going in the end of round 8. Also someone getting up there a little bit. The quarterback problem is there, but Dwayne, I think
I'm not drafting him pretty much this year. It's just so hard with the quarterback situation, the age, everything. And, Tyler Lockett always lived on that sweet efficiency. And it came with Russell Wilson. So I'm worried that's going to be completely gone at this point. So he's not quite on a do not draft list just because where you get him is fine. But Tyler Lockett's already kind of been this guy, where we get 4 or 5 big weeks and then, we get 5 or 6 of nothing. Now I think we may be hoping for 2 or 3 spike weeks for the season is my concern.
Tyler Lockett just goes out there, puts up over 1,000 yards, flirts with 10 touchdowns every single year. Can't even get a little bit of love. I don't know, man. I just feel like that discrepancy between him and Metcalf is we're leaning to a younger player, the probably more talented player, and I understand those things. But, man, if we got to do projections, how many target difference are we talking? 15, 20 over the course of the entire year? And to see that 5-round difference, I think if anything, maybe we're a little high on DK Metcalf, which takes us back to the Mike Williams point, maybe starting to move up some of those receivers and just the more pure offenses. I mean, dude, I love Drew Lock. I hope he figures it out. It's not like he didn't have the weapons in Denver to maybe make a few good things happen with Geno Smith. I think we just saw what this offense could go into, which is being more run first than ever before. It would be pretty ironic, though, if Pete Carroll decides now is finally the time to unleash this passing game.
It would be very ironic, but it definitely won't happen with those quarterbacks.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it would be pretty funny, though.
Dallas Goedert falling. Do we want to go with him next for the stack?
I'm fine with going ahead just because, is Tony Pollard still there?
Yes.
Yeah, I like Pollard and I like Goddard at this pick since Kenneth Walker just went.
Let's go with Pollard. Goddard would be nice.
But Pollard is man, if Zeke did go down, it's just so huge. And being best ball, we like Pollard more than what we do redraft because he can still give you that spike week potential. And I didn't even, if you go back to the board real quick, we should be kind of helping people, talking people through. I know, but I like looking at what people behind us have. We should have looked to see if they both have a tight end or two. Well, you can see it right here. Everybody between us and now have a tight end. So we still have a shot at Dallas Goedert.
I just think that with Pollard there, and we got him at pick 106, his ADP is 92. That's okay. We got a nice value on that. And when we can get that value, we'll take it. Same thing with Breece Hall, pick 58, ADP 49. We've done a pretty good job getting some value. Chris Olave is the only guy we actually reached on by more than a few picks. We missed Goddard by 1. Oh, well.
That's okay. I think we need to look at receiver just based on our current roster construction. And there's not an obvious value just sticking out to me. So there's Jamison Williams, and we could have to wait, but I love the upside. The other option would be Tyler Boyd, but I like the upside of Jamison Williams.
Boyd's off the board. So let's go with Jamison. Cool. Jamison, like Olave, someone that I think has a chance to see their ADP just shoot up over the course of the offseason based on some potential news. Jamison's hurt right now. He's wide receiver 54 because he's hurt right now. So we'll see what it says. I know with these January ACL injuries, from my understanding, anyone that tore it in January, so that also applies to Mechie, Michael Gallup, Chris Godwin. If everything goes right, we're probably looking at a late September, October return. Maybe they're freaks, but that seems to be the general timeline. And then if there are complications, we could be looking at something more into November. But Dwayne, God forbid we get a report that hey, Jamison Williams is 100% for training camp. He's going to be right there, going several rounds earlier in that Garrett Wilson tier.
Well, and again, this is a full season league. you know, I mean, even if we don't get anything out of Jamison in September, like I'm going to be okay. Like, why don't you?
We got Thielen for September.
Why don't you walk folks through like where we are, like total roster? Like, because I know when I'm listening to these kind of podcasts, I'm like sitting there going, "Could you guys just tell me like who's on the damn team so I know like what the roster makeup is?"
Quarterback, we snagged Jalen Hurts in round 6. Running back started off with Austin Eckler. Waited to get our second one until round 5, but we scooped up Breece Hall. Then got Tony Pollard in round 9 as our RB3, which I am comfortable with. Tight end, we went early with Mark Andrews in round 2. At the, I guess it was a little bit more towards the beginning. Overall pick 15 after we got Eckler round 1. Wide receiver, Jalen Waddle in round 3. Mike Williams in round 4. Came back with Adam Thielen, Chris Olave in round 7 and 8. And finally now Jameson Williams. So yeah, Jameson as our wide receiver 5. Olave wide receiver 4. Thielen wide receiver 3. I'm liking this team so far, Dwayne.
Yeah, I am too. And we're seeing that kind of crunch time right now. If you look at the picks and you look at the board and what's going on, if you can scroll back down, like a lot of people are scrambling for their quarterback, right? And we know in best ball, everybody's going to at least take 2. So that pushes everything up. You see all the tight ends coming off the board. The order of the way things are going has changed a little bit versus, what we talked about before the draft, which obviously we would expect. But I do still believe, like, overall, the way that things shake out this year, no matter what way you start your draft, whether you're still needing a tight end and a quarterback, whatever it may be, like, you can manage to get all of that, like, between round 7 and 11. You just have to be disciplined and make sure that you don't stop paying attention to your roster construction and potentially do something that could really, like, undermine, like, a really great start to your draft.
All right, so we're going to need another quarterback at some point, but given that we got Hurts round 6, I think 2 quarterbacks is probably plenty. 2, maybe 3 more running backs, depending on who falls to us, and then 1 more tight end. That is the positive to using some of those early picks on a tight end and quarterback. We can go with 2 of them. We don't need to really be throwing out as many darts.
Yeah, for sure. Guys I like coming back, and I'm just trying to keep up with picks that are going off the board. Now I can't see them again. Can you go back to the board just for a second?
We need a mix of, the board and then who's actually available. So I just want to start a few. Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers, Kenny Galladay at this point, I'm not against. Jamison Crowder, someone we've talked about a lot. Fuller is someone that if he's playing is going to see his ADP get higher regardless of where he ends up landing. Jalen Tolbert, someone down there. Running backs, Rashad Penny, Ronald Jones, Michael Carter, Isaiah Spiller, Tyler Algier. I would say out of this group, Dwayne, Michael Carter is very interesting at this point because he was someone that I thought I was going to be really down on when they got Breece. We already have Breece, so I guess that would be the argument against. But we get some standalone, and you could argue our lineup's toast. I guess I would probably like Carter more if we didn't already have Breece Hall.
Yeah, but at the same time, if one of the Jets running backs happens to be going off down the stretch, right, and one of them gets hurt, or say Breece Hall is going off, like I don't even look at it necessarily as a handcuff. I think you can get upside spike week potential from Carter, and still then get Hall, value from Hall typically, but it is the Jets offense. Like, how involved do you want to be?
Do you want to pick a wide receiver first? Because
I don't even know what all's available. I mean, I know there's some backs.
Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers, Kenny Galladay, Jamison Crowder, any of those guys over Michael Carter?
And Rashad Penny went. Kirk Cousins is gone.
Yep.
Okay. Then yeah, and Damian Pierce went, I believe.
One galaxy brain move that Justin Herzig, past winner, Best Ball Mania, now does some great work with Establish the Run. One thing he brought up, one of the reasons why he likes Nyheim Hines, is this idea that you get your team in the playoffs, and a bunch of Jonathan Taylor teams are in the playoffs. But what's a way to separate yourself when you're in that final, 300, 400 teams left, is to have that backup running back there. The Nyheim Hines that maybe doesn't give you anything weeks 1 through 13, but then you can separate yourself from those remaining teams with the backup. So that is the allure of handcuffing. And Dwayne, I am more comfortable handcuffing Breece Hall when we get him at pick 58 versus, pick 13 or something.
Yeah, I think that's why I was still fine with Carter. And it's a different story than Jonathan Taylor, but Breece Hall still could go off as well, and the Jets are a team that could go
on the clock. We have Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers, Jamison Crowder. If not them, Justin Fields is there at quarterback. That'd be a little interesting. Ronald Jones. We got 13 seconds.
Yeah, I think we didn't need to go ahead and take another receiver with what's happening.
Let's go Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't love it, but it's, I don't have my arms fully around it. It's not bad. I mean,
Tim Patrick was better than Cortland Sutton last year. He just was on a similar amount of targets. Sutton actually had a few more, and they both have long-term deals. Sutton's a little better, but like they're going to be out there, Dwayne. I think KJ Hamler, if he's healthy, like he played in the slot in week 1. Like if anything, Hamler coming back is going to be more of an issue for Jerry Judy. They've invested in Patrick and Sutton. They're going nowhere, man. Jerry Judy is the former first-round pick from a previous coaching staff that could be the odd man out. As much as we love the route running, which I'm here with, it seems like Judy is maybe the one that we're really kind of wishing maybe more so than actually thinking.
Yeah, I don't want to overthink it. I still think I think he's a more talented player than Patrick. I think that could end up being wrong, but I mean, I know he was a former pick of a different, coaching staff, but he was still a former first-round pick. So yeah. I definitely think of him, way higher than, Patrick. But to your point, like anything, could happen. Oh man, Gronk. See, I can't see this board, and it's like I got to get to a way that I can do these better because I can't really do my thing.
We'll figure it out, Dwayne. It's early, but yes, Gronk finally off the board in round 12. Someone that Dwayne and I have talked about at length as, we think he's going to play. So good job by you, RR Jada, snagging him this late. Already had Dawson Knox. Like this is why you don't need to take Dawson Knox 2 rounds earlier, because you can wait for someone like Rob Gronkowski in round 12. Looks like even Irv Smith is still on the board. You see the news, Dwayne? Irv Smith running routes near 100%. Near full speed, I think was the word.
What else did we expect? Like he got hurt.
Kind of wish it was full speed, but that is the one thing. So I want to be careful. Irv Smith is near full speed, and I'm loving it. Whereas ETN, Dwayne, we were talking about this yesterday. What was the report on him? He's around 85, 90%. Yeah. That was the one I was skeptical of. But when I hear near full speed for someone I like, then I'm going to use that to confirm my priors.
Yeah, for sure. Jamison Crowder just went off the board. I like that pick. Jahan Dotson went off right after us. I like that pick as well. Jahan Dotson, I get it. Didn't profile as well as some of the other rookies. But, there's a clear discount on him versus where the other rookies are going. You're still getting a first-round receiver. So I think he's a player that should, he sticks out immediately as being like, hey, he's really more like these other things than different. And people are continuing to let him slide down the board.
And Carson, people act like Carson Wentz is one of the worst quarterbacks they've ever seen play football. He's not top 10. He's probably not even top 20. He is still marketably better than Taylor Heinecke. Pick a stat, any stat. Taylor Heinecke was the single worst deep ball thrower last year, by a whopping freaking measure, man. It was bad. When he literally waited for Terry McLaurin to go deeper, underthrew him by 15 yards and got poor freaking Terry concussed because of it. My God, man. I've seen the Tampa Bay games. I understand Taylor Heinecke has made a couple good plays, but just because Carson Wentz hasn't really lived up to the MVP standard he's capable of operating at, it's just weird, Dwayne. And I don't know, man. The guy's been getting slandered left and right by Colts people in publicly and stuff. And, for someone that's not breaking any laws or doing anything really bad other than maybe just not winning enough, my God, Dwayne, what's going on with Carson Wentz? How come the world just hates this guy?
Well, he's not very accurate, and he hasn't been accurate for a long time. And I think it just really showed up in a huge way last year. He had kind of been living on the fringe of it for a bit, and everything just kind of caved in on him. A lot of it is his turnover stuff, obviously. So, but that's more of an NFL problem, right, than really a fantasy football problem.
All right, I'm going to leave the board up for you, Dwayne, and I'm going to look at the picks. That might be better.
As long as, we can switch over right when it gets there. It's just easier to see them this way. Did Ronald Jones go? He did, right? I'm getting caught up right now. Tyler Algier.
Darrell Henderson, Gus Edwards still on the board. Khalil Herbert.
Is Rashad White still on the board?
Rashawn White is not.
Rashad White's
we are on the clock.
And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4,
DJ
5.
Chark. We could form a late stack. DJ Chark.
We have 7 receivers, though. I think. What's there at quarterback?
Tua, Tannehill, Jones, Matt Goff. Do we go Tannehill?
Yeah, we could go Tannehill. We don't really have any sort of stack with that. We could go.
Sorry, I made an executive
No,
decision.
you have to.
Gus
You
Edwards.
have you. And Alexander Madison was gone.
Oh, he was gone.
Yeah,
End
see,
of
I
round
can't
11.
see this shit. This drives me nuts. Ramondre Stevenson, I don't even really care.
No, Stevenson went. Stevenson, Madison, Rashad White all went at the beginning of round 11. Okay.
What is Irv Smith gone?
Irv Smith is not gone.
We need a tight end. I think you should take Irv Smith now.
The late round tight end of 2022. I said it once. I probably said it 20 times, and I'll say it plenty more. Welcome to the squad, Mr. Irv Smith.
You would, let's be honest, you would have taken Irv Smith at the last pick if you would have thought about it.
I would have taken him around
Gus
like 8 if I would have thought about it. What's wrong? Dude, why is Gus going outside the top 50? I think that is absolutely egregious. I think I have him ranked inside the top 40 or so. I mean, it's one of these things where it's similar to Sutton versus Patrick, man. I really don't think that Gus and Dobbins are that different. Like, yeah, who I think is better? Dobbins. But they've already paid Gus Edwards. Every evidence we have of them using these running backs has been split. They're both coming back from injury. Like, unless you can tell me that Gus is like a lot behind Dobbins in terms of the injury timeline. But I don't know, man. I think if they had concerns about Gus as the RB2, they would have done anything to devote some serious resources to helping shore up that running back room. To me, Gus Edwards is someone that's going to get 10, 12 carries per game. God forbid something happens to Dobbins. No, he doesn't have Alexander Madison or Tony Pollard, like best case RB1 upside, but he'd be a nice little upside RB2. I mean, he's not the best handcuff, but he's also not the worst.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at it, it's just a situation where in best ball, I like it even better. Like, I don't want to pick the weeks that I need to use, Gus Edwards, if I actually need him whenever J.K. Dobbins is around. But I do think he gives you standalone value as far as spike weeks go, right? And then if J.K. Dobbins were to go down, obviously we know that his value increases. So it is funny the way people think about these things. And I know part of it is probably coming off of an injury, but I think at the price tag that you're getting him at, I think it's fine.
Dude, he was an undrafted free agent. When the guy's undrafted, we just refuse to give them credit for what they've done. He's averaged 5.2 yards per carry for his entire career on 414 carries, man. I know the Ravens offense helps with this. Give Lamar Jackson a ton of credit. But my God, could you imagine if Clyde Edwards-Helaire was putting up Gus Edwards numbers on the ground? We would never be hearing the end of it. Like, people would be acting like CEH is, God's new gift to the running back position. So, yeah, I know funny. J.K. Dobbins got over 6. Like, Dobbins is very good, but this is like, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. It's like Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. Like, I'm not arguing Gus Edwards is better than J.K. Dobbins, but he's still pretty damn good in his own right. And the Ravens clearly value him as truly more of a 1B as opposed to a pure backup 2.
Yeah. I'm good with it. Hey, coming up on this pick, like, look real quick. Look at quarterback. If Goff's there, since we have Williams, Jameson, I think that makes an easy stack. And I think Jared Goff could be sneaky this year. He all of a sudden has
Tannehill's still there.
He's got Hawkinson. He's got Amon-Ra. I think on this team, I'd honestly rather just take Goff.
Wow.
Yeah. Dude, he's got all these weapons. We've seen Jared Goff be productive before. I mean, I guess he's kind of like the Gus Edwards of quarterbacks. Last year, of course, yeah, there was no one there, but we've seen him with the Rams. We're not saying he's a great NFL quarterback. When you look at what he can do, I think he could have some nice spike weeks this year. And if they happen to come with Jameson Williams, then that's a correlation that we get.
He has been. He was a low key winner from the draft, and it's not someone that we're taking. Oh my
God, he just went.
Oh, there he goes. Okay.
Fine,
okay.
You get Tannehill. Because Daniel Jones, your guy's gone. So
I say we go Khalil Herbert here, and we either take Tannehill or do we need Tannehill first?
Look behind us. How many quarterbacks do they have? They both have 2, don't they?
Yes.
Snag Herbert. Let it hang out.
Hell yeah.
Let him hang.
Khalil Herbert. I love our running backs. We have all sorts of, there is a best case scenario, Dwain, where we just have one RB1 after another. KJ Osborne still on the board, but we need Tannehill if he's going to fall. Jalen Tolbert just went. I like that pick. Tyrion Davis-Price. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess Elijah Mitchell is falling Elijah Mitchell is falling because of the presence of Tyrion Davis Price, but no one's really getting behind Tyrion Davis Price. There goes Ryan Tannehill to the squad. Dwain, you talk about our team. I need a computer charger.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we are, can't tell. We're in the 17th round now. So, yeah, just looking at the squad so far, we started off the draft with Austin Eckler, who fell to us at pick 10, normally goes pick 7, followed that up with Mark Andrews. Then we had to come back. We went receiver at the next turn with Jalen Waddle and Mike Williams. Came back to grab Breece Hall. So that means Eckler and Hall are the 2 starting running backs. Andrews is the starting tight end. And then we also came back and added a receiver. Well, we went Jalen Hurts at quarterback, came back and added a receiver. So that makes our receiver room Jalen Waddle, Mike Williams, and Adam Thielen. Then to round out the roster, I'll go ahead and go receivers. We went with Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Kenny Galladay. And then we came back and grabbed tight end 2, Irv Smith. One more receiver. We did get Tim Patrick. And then we came back with our QB2, which we were just able to get, which was Ryan Tannehill, who basically just slid off the entire board.
2 more picks. What are we feeling? Running backs that I could still see us taking: Jamal Williams, Hassan Haskins, Deontay Foreman. Foreman would be someone I wouldn't mind taking at all. I think he's a CMC backup. $3 million for a backup running back, Dwain. Foreman could low-key, if they want to try to keep McCaffrey healthier, Foreman's someone that could have like a Tony Pollard-esque role. And now the offense doesn't have nearly the same upside, but that's why he's available in round potentially 17, 18 instead of, 8.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I'm actually just trying to right now, what is our, let's see. I'm looking at just like the complete roster construction that we have going. So right now we have got our running.
We're at 2-6-6-2.
2-6-6-2. Okay. Yeah.
2-8-8-2 probably.
Yeah.
Julio Jones still available. Like, we should take him if he wraps around. Julio, I don't care where he goes. Like, he's not going to be going in round 17 after he signs with a team.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's fair. But yeah, we definitely got to do something. I think we definitely have to do something at running back.
And it's not like Julio he got hurt last year, and maybe he'll just continue getting hurt. And I know it's been kind of the last 2 years, but it's not like we just had all these, ample evidence of games of Julio just going out there on 10 targets and being a complete shell of himself. I didn't really get that impression at all. I mean, that Seattle game, week 2, had over 130 yards, still got absolutely robbed of that touchdown that I don't know how they called out of bounds. Maybe Julio Jones has one last year in him. I'll take him after freaking AJ Green. I know that.
Yeah, a back I like is Brian Robinson Jr. if he's still available. Like, I don't think I've seen him go.
What's his upside though? He's 2 injuries away from something we want.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like, I mean, when I'm looking at him, like for where we're getting him, like if Antonio Gibson goes down, I'm fine with it. I'm not so sure Foreman has the whole role over
Chuba. No,
yeah, I feel like they're kind of similar. I'd rather invest in the guy that was just the more recent pick. I wouldn't mind getting both of them. How many running backs do we have? We have 4?
6.
We have 6 now? Okay.
We have Eckler, Breece, Pollard, Carter, Gus, and Herbert.
Okay. Dang it. Somehow, how did I do that? I didn't put Pollard as green. Okay. Yeah, we're actually good at running back then. Yeah, I'm fine at focusing back on receiver. So we've got our 2 tight ends. We have our 2 quarterbacks. I don't think we need more than 2 of each of those. I'm fine with those. So yeah, I think receiver is the place to focus. I do like Mechie.
When's Mechie going to play? It's just with that ACL. But you know what? At this point in the draft,
yeah,
I've said this before, Dwayne. He would be someone where if we get good news, he'd be going much higher than this. So
yeah, and he has a clear opportunity to earn the number 2 role. And even if he doesn't start hot, the first of the season, Camden just got home from work. Camden's in for the summer, and he's got a summer job. Dude, he has to leave at like 6:30 in the morning. He's getting back at like 5 in the afternoon. I think he's ready just to go back to college. If anything, like this job will be a lesson in, don't quit school, son.
Well, for Cam, I can feel Camden's pain because Mechie and Julio straight off the board. Dwayne, I've started a couple wide receivers, Byron Pringle, Justin Ross.
Is Robbie Anderson still there?
No, he went a couple rounds
ago.
I
see him gone up there. Okay.
Kendrick Bourne's available. James Washington. Gross.
Is Wan'Dale Robinson available? Or did you just say he just went?
He just went.
Okay, I'm looking. How much time we got? Is LaVisca gone?
13 seconds. Oh my God. We have LaVisca. I'd rather take Byron Pringle.
Okay. Well, I love Keontae Ingram as a huge upside play if James Conner goes down. So that's the other option.
Let me get him. I couldn't get him. Okay. We'll
get him coming back. Brian Robinson gets the pick after we pick.
So the only thing I'd say with Keontae is I'm not sure he has Eno beat out, but round 18,
I don't
that's
even
fine.
care. Like Eno, man, had a chance to get on the field last year and couldn't. Look, I'm not saying it'll never happen for him, but if I had to place a chip, it's on Keontae, and Eno goes right after we pick. So
I'll be happy to take Keontae this late in the draft because if we're right, man, we're right in a major way. Because like the other running backs available, J.D. McKissick, Kenyon Drake, Mark Ingram, Chuba, Trey Sermon just went. Jerris Johnson.
Were you about
James
to say
White,
Trey Sermon? And he went. He went as he was coming out of your mouth.
There we go. Keontae Ingram on the squad, going to wrap up the roster. So to conclude, quarterback, we got Jalen Hurts and Ryan Tannehill. Running back, Austin Eckler, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Michael Carter, Gus Edwards, Khalil Herbert, and Keontae Ingram. Wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, Mike Williams, Thielen, Olave, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, and Byron Pringle. Tight end, Mark Andrews and Irv Smith. I'm a fan, Dwayne. Running back is, I think, pretty damn. I like the way we were able to only take Eckler. Like I was mocking that we were doing modified zero RB. We kind of did end up doing it to an extent. So Eckler as our first one, being able to come back with Breece, having lottery tickets in Pollard, Khalil Herbert, and then lesser extents, Gus Edwards and Keontae Ingram. I'm a fan there. And the Breece Hall, Michael Carter, again, kind of galaxy brain potential, I think plays well in this large field tournament. Wide receiver, we have some upside. I would say, if anything, Dwayne, just waiting until pick 34 to get our first wide receiver. When we don't have one in that top 10 or 11 or so, it's going to be tough to feel overly good about it. With that said, I still think we got some good darts throughout. Love the Tim Patrick value.
Yeah, can you flip over to the roster view? Will it let you do that yet?
No.
It's okay. So I think, one thing that we'll do as we continue to go that we didn't really talk through here, and again, this is like just we haven't done one of these in a month, but thinking more about correlation later in the draft, right? So if we've got players from team A and we know that they're going to be playing team B later in the season, and that's a potential shootout, or just trying to get the same division, right? Those are some different things that we can be doing so that when these teams do happen to get into these shootouts, we get that potential boom potential. That's really good. That is quality.
There we go,
radio.
Dwayne.
But just trying to think through some of the other components outside of, right, just constructing the way we're thinking about roster construction and allocation, right, and the players that we're taking. So I think just trying to weave some of those things into what we're doing, that's probably like the next step.
Just going through the rounds, seeing, if I'm surprised where anyone's going, and really Michael Carter falling to us where he did. For him to be going after James Robinson, Dameon Pierce, Rashad White, Ramondre Stevenson, Alexander Madison, I think you could argue he's probably going to have more week-to-week value than all those guys with similar best-case upside there. I know the Jets aren't exactly, the Buccaneers or even the Vikings. With that said, Michael Carter demonstrated good running back on a team that values him. Didn't add any other running backs throughout the offseason before Breece Hall. Realistically, a 1-2 punch with some underrated upside. So I like that. Jamison Crowder going as late as he did. Dwayne, he certainly would have been in play for us if he had made it back. KJ Hamler, someone interesting that seems to be rising up.
You could have talked me into Crowder over Patrick. But I like both players. I just know that Buffalo is going to have huge pass volume, right? So if some way Crowder does end up being the number 2 receiver, which is in the range of outcomes for Josh Allen, wow, like that could be, he's going to be a top 36 receiver if that happens. I think Tim Patrick has more upside as far as like the type of player he is, right? He can play outside. He can catch more touchdowns. I'm not sure yards after the catch. I'm sure he's better than Crowder as well, but not as good of an offense and a lot more crowded offense.
Who's losing out if KJ Hamler is good to go in week 1? When we get these routes, who's going to be the odd man out? I kind of think it's Jerry Judy.
I think it could be Jerry Judy too. I think that Jerry, here's what I think. I honestly think Cortland Sutton is the least at risk of losing any routes. I would put Jerry Judy, Tim Patrick probably at the same. Okay. No. Now, again, some of this is based off of what's happened before, and we don't have the same coaching staff. But we did see those weeks where Judy and Tim Patrick were rotating, in the 2 wide receiver sets. We talked about it before, but I think the biggest risk to Judy is he going to be on the field for the 2 wide receiver sets? I'm not even worried about Hamler yet. I'm just worried, can he be on the field in the 2 wide receiver stuff and then kick inside whenever he's playing from the slot? I think you can make an argument that Cortland Sutton should be the first Denver Bronco that we're drafting, because I think he probably has the most secure role as far as being on the field. Probably almost every single time Russ Wilson drops back to pass, and we know he's going to be the guy that's working deep. Yes, Hamler could be Judy's. All of their ADOTs will probably go up some with Russ, right? Because they went from Teddy Bridgewater to Russ. But I think the order of their ADOTs will still be the same, even though they could all go up. So that's one I've really been toying with. I think right now I've got Judy like 5 spots ahead of Cortland Sutton, but I think in ADP they're only like 2 or 3 spots apart.
It's going to wrap up this draft. Dwain, anything else you want to go over before I close this draft board?
No. I'm going to try to get myself, I love being really organized for these drafts. So I'm still just trying to figure out like the best way to do this. Cause normally like we're set up where we can both be in the draft room together, and the way we're having to do this, it's a little bit different. So just trying to keep up with the picks and like be in a nice flow and with how quickly that they go. I've got to figure out how to do a better job of that.
We will both get better. We'll watch the film and get better, as we always try to do. So appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Goal is to have these out each and every Wednesday. We'll also have another best ball stream going on over at Underdog Fantasy. We'll be shot out from the PFF Twitter account on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Myself, Dwain will be on a few of them. Nathan Yonke, Jared Evans, Kevin Cole, just the whole PFF Fantasy crew having a great old time. Maybe a couple drinks here and there as well. So thank you as always for tuning in to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Ian. He's Dwain. Until next time, take care, everybody.